In the quiet, rural outskirts of Shelby, North Carolina, the Degree family lived a simple, structured life centered around church, school, and family bonds. Harold Degree worked long hours as a dock loader at Pittsburgh Plate Glass, while his wife, Aquila, built pianos at Kauai America Manufacturing. Their children, 9-year-old Asha Jaquilla Degree and her 10-year-old brother O'Brien, shared a bedroom in their modest home on Oak Crest Drive. Asha was a shy, cautious girl, afraid of dogs and the dark, who excelled as a star point guard on her elementary school basketball team. But on February 12th, 2000, she fouled out during a game, leaving her visibly upset, though she seemed to recover by evening. As Valentine's Day approached, the family settled into their routine. On February 13th, Asha and O'Brien attended church at a relative's house before returning home and heading to bed around 8 p.m. The night was unseasonably stormy, with heavy rain and wind lashing against the windows, creating an uneasy symphony of creaks and howls. Around 11:30 p.m., a nearby car accident caused a power outage, plunging the house into total darkness. The blackout lasted until 12:30 a.m. when the lights flickered back on. Harold, returning from his second shift job, checked on the children and saw both soundly asleep in their beds. Exhausted but vigilant, Harold checked again at 2:30 a.m. before turning in himself. Both kids appeared peaceful, their breaths steady amid the lingering storm. But in the shared room, O'Brien stirred slightly, hearing Asha's bed squeak as if she were shifting positions. Unbeknownst to him, something inexplicable was unfolding. Sometime between 2:45 a.m. and 4 a.m., Asha rose quietly, packing her book bag with several sets of clothes, including her favorite blue jeans with a red stripe and personal items. She slipped out of the secure home, locking the door behind her, into the pitch-black, rain-soaked night, a child who feared the shadows now embracing them. Motorists on North Carolina Highway 18, a desolate stretch cutting through the rural landscape, reported chilling sightings that morning. Around 3:45 to 4:15 a.m., a truck driver spotted a small figure walking south along the road just north of the junction with Highway 180. Dressed in a long-sleeved white t-shirt and white pants, she braved the gale-force winds and pouring rain, her form ghostly pale against the inky darkness. Another driver, concerned by the oddity of a child alone in such conditions, turned his vehicle around 1.3 miles from the Degree home. As he approached to offer help, the girl, matching Asha's description, bolted into the adjacent woods, like a specter vanishing into the mist, her footsteps swallowed by the underbrush. Back at home, Aquila awoke at 5:45 a.m. to prepare the children for school, drawing a bath since the power outage had disrupted their routine. By 6:30 a.m., she entered the bedroom to wake them, only to find O'Brien alone. Asha's bed was empty, the sheets cold. Panic rising like a chill up her spine, Aquila searched the house, the family cars, and even calling Harold's mother across the street. "She's not here," she whispered to herself, her voice trembling. No sign of forced entry, no note, just an absence that echoed through the rooms like a void. By 6:40 a.m., she dialed the police, her heart pounding with dread. Law enforcement arrived swiftly, but the initial search yielded nothing. Police dogs, deployed in the pouring rain, failed to pick up Asha's scent, as if she had evaporated into the storm. Neighbors, friends, and clergy rallied, scouring the area while Aquila woke the subdivision, her cries piercing the morning fog. "Have you seen my baby?" she pleaded door to door. The community mobilized, but an eerie silence hung over the landscape, broken only by the relentless patter of rain. The next day, February 15th, brought the first haunting clues. In a rundown shed at a nearby upholstery business along Highway 18, close to where the motorist had seen her flee into the woods, searchers discovered candy wrappers, a pencil, a green marker, and a yellow hair bow confirmed as Asha's. More disturbingly, a photograph of an unidentified black girl, about Asha's age, wearing a white ruffled shirt and barrettes, lay among the items. Who was this stranger, and why was her image left behind? The shed's dim interior, cluttered with forgotten tools and shadows, felt like a portal to the unknown, the air thick with unspoken malice. As days turned to weeks, the massive search effort, spanning 9,000 man-hours and a 2 to 3 mile radius, uncovered no further trace. Lads poured in, possible sightings, abandoned houses, wells checked, but all fizzled into frustration. The family clung to hope, replaying the night in their minds. Why would a girl so fearful of the dark venture out? Theories whispered through Shelby. Had she run away from their strict but loving home, perhaps upset over the basketball game? Or was she lured by someone she trusted, groomed into this fateful departure? 18 months later, in August 2001, construction workers unearthed a horrifying artifact 26 miles north along Highway 18. Asha's book bag, double wrapped in black plastic garbage bags and buried off the road. Inside were items that deepened the mystery: a children's book, McElligot's Pool by Dr. Seuss, and a New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt, neither belonging to the Degree family. The bag's condition suggested it had been placed there deliberately, a taunting relic from an abductor's hand. The FBI analyzed it, but no fingerprints or DNA offered closure, only more questions lurking in the shadows. Years dragged on, the case growing colder, yet never forgotten. In 2015, the FBI released images of a green 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV or Ford Thunderbird, believing Asha may have entered such a vehicle. Billboards with her age-progressed photo dotted the highways, silent sentinels pleading for answers. The family walked those haunted roads annually, staring into the woods where she vanished, the wind carrying echoes of what might have been. Then, in 2024 and 2025, fresh dread emerged. Search warrants revealed investigators' belief that Asha was a victim of homicide, her body concealed somewhere in the vast rural expanse. Text messages and DNA leads pointed to possible suspects, including connections to local families like the Deadmans, whose properties were raided. Arrests for unrelated crimes hinted at darker ties, but no charges in Asha's case materialized. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office announced significant progress in May 2025, increasing the reward, yet the silence persisted, a deafening void. To this day, the Degree family endures an unending nightmare. Aquila and Harold, their lives forever fractured, wonder if the storm that night masked something sinister, an abduction by human predators, or forces beyond comprehension pulling Asha into the abyss. The rural highways of Shelby hold their secrets tight, the woods whispering of a child lost to the unknown. Every rain-soaked night revives the terror, a reminder that some shadows never lift. On a frigid February evening in 2004, the rural stretch of Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire, lay blanketed in snow, its sharp curves shadowed by dense woods that whispered secrets to the wind. Maura Murray, a 21-year-old nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, had been unraveling in silence. Weeks earlier, she'd faced probation for credit card fraud using a stolen number to order food, a minor slip that haunted her promising future. Her transfer from West Point, where she'd studied chemical engineering, carried whispers of past troubles and a recent late-night crash in her father's car after a dorm party had left her shaken. But on February 9th, something deeper compelled her to flee. Maura's day began with deception. She emailed her professors and work supervisor, claiming a family death that never occurred, buying herself time away from classes amid a snowstorm that had already canceled them. She spoke briefly with her boyfriend, Billy Rausch, a U.S. Army lieutenant stationed far away, leaving a voicemail filled with unspoken strain. Rumors of infidelity lingered in their relationship. Around midday, she searched online for directions to the Berkshires and Burlington, Vermont, and called about a condo rental in Stowe, her voice steady, but her intentions veiled. By 3:40 p.m., ATM footage captured her alone, withdrawing $280, nearly emptying her account. She stopped at a liquor store, purchasing Bailey's, Kahlua, vodka, and a box of Francia wine, supplies that suggested solitude or escape, not celebration. As the sun dipped low, Maura packed her black 1996 Saturn sedan with clothes, makeup, birth control pills, her favorite stuffed animal, and a book titled Not Without Peril, chronicling deadly hikes in the nearby White Mountains. A stuffed monkey, a gift from Billy, sat among the items, a poignant reminder of fractured connections. She drove north without a word to anyone, her last cell phone activity at 4:37 p.m., checking voicemail as the signal faded into the wilderness. The road ahead was desolate, flanked by evergreens heavy with snow, the kind of isolation that amplifies every creak of branches and distant howl of wind. Around 7:27 p.m., neighbor Faith Westman heard a thud and peered out her window to see Maura's car spun out on a sharp curve, nose first into a snowbank after striking a tree. Airbags deployed, the vehicle damaged but intact. Westman called 911, reporting what she thought might be a man smoking a cigarette inside, though it could have been the glow of a cell phone's red light piercing the dusk. Minutes later, school bus driver Butch Atwood pulled over on his way home. He found Maura outside the car, cold and shivering in the biting air, her breath visible in clouds. "I've called AAA," she insisted, though no such call was ever logged. Atwood, concerned, offered to let her wait in his warm bus or home nearby, but she pleaded, "Please don't call the cops." Uneasy, he drove the short distance to his house and dialed authorities at 7:43 p.m., glancing back to see her silhouette against the headlights. By 7:46 p.m., when Haverhill Police Sergeant Cecil Smith arrived, the scene was eerily still. The car was locked, engine cold, keys gone. Inside, a red stain from spilled wine soaked the upholstery, and a Coke bottle reeked of alcohol. Scattered belongings included the book on mountain perils, diamond jewelry, and MapQuest printouts to Vermont destinations. Notably absent, Maura's debit card, credit cards, and cell phone. A rag stuffed in the tailpipe, later explained by her father, Fred Murray, as a trick he'd taught her to mask engine smoke, added to the puzzle. No footprints led into the woods. Tracking dogs followed her scent only 100 yards east along the road before it vanished abruptly in the middle of the pavement, as if she'd been lifted into thin air or accepted a ride from a passing vehicle. The next day, police issued a "Be on the lookout" alert, describing Maura in a dark coat, jeans, and possibly carrying a black backpack. Her family was notified, plunging them into a nightmare. Fred Murray, who had just spent the weekend with her car shopping, arrived to lead searches, combing the frozen woods with volunteers. He believed abduction, perhaps by a local opportunist or someone she encountered on that shadowy road. Maura's sister, Kathleen, recalled their February 5th phone call where she'd shared her alcoholism relapse, leaving Maura distraught and unresponsive at her campus job. Another sister, Julie, noted Maura's familiarity with the White Mountains from family hikes, wondering if she'd sought refuge there. Extensive searches unfolded. Ground teams, helicopters, and divers scoured rivers and lakes, but yielded nothing. No body, no clothing, no signs of struggle. A contractor reported seeing a young person matching Maura's description, in jeans and a dark coat, jogging east about 4 to 5 miles from the crash site around 8 p.m. that night, but the lead fizzled. Billy Rausch joined the effort, though a strange voicemail he received the next day, whimpering sounds, added layers of unease, later dismissed as a wrong number. Online communities and podcasts dissected clues. Was the rag a distress signal? Did the book foreshadow a suicidal trek into the deadly mountains? Or had Maura, burdened by personal turmoil, including the credit fraud and a prior West Point theft accusation, staged a voluntary disappearance to start anew, perhaps in Canada? Years turned to decades, the case growing colder than that February night. Media coverage exploded. Documentaries on Oxygen, podcasts like Missing Maura Murray, and books probing every angle. Theories proliferated: foul play by a passerby, a hit-and-run cover-up, or suicide in the unforgiving wilderness where hypothermia claims lives swiftly. Fred Murray fought for more investigation, criticizing police for delays and lost evidence. By 2017, Kathleen revealed the emotional weight of her relapse call on Maura. In 2022, the family pushed for FBI involvement, and as of 2025, new fingerprint evidence from inside the car pointed to potential suspects, including a former West Point acquaintance, reigniting hope and dread. Yet no arrests, no closure. The snowy curve on Route 112 remains a frozen enigma, where Maura Murray vanished like a specter into the night. Her family endures eternal suspense, so I'm haunted by questions. Did she flee unseen shadows from her past, or did the darkness of the unknown claim her? In the quiet woods, the wind still carries echoes of that thud, a chilling reminder that some puzzles dissolve into oblivion, leaving only the fear of what lurks beyond the headlights. In the spring of 2006, Brian Shaffer was a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, poised on the brink of a promising future. Tall at 6 feet 2 inches, with a distinctive Pearl Jam Alive tattoo on his arm and a subtle fleck in one eye, he had recently endured the devastating loss of his mother, Renee, to myelodysplasia just weeks earlier. Amid the grief, Brian found solace in his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, another med student, and they had planned a romantic spring break trip to Miami, where he intended to propose. From his father's perspective, Brian seemed exhausted but resilient during their steak dinner on March 31st, the dim restaurant lights casting long shadows over their conversation about life moving forward despite the pain. As night fell over Columbus, Ohio, Brian met his friend William Clint Florence at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a lively bar in the South Campus Gateway complex on High Street. The air buzzed with the energy of college students kicking off spring break, laughter echoing off the walls, glasses clinking, and the faint thump of music from a band playing covers. Brian and Clint embarked on a bar-hopping adventure through the Arena District, downing shots of hard liquor at each stop, the alcohol warming their veins as the city lights blurred into a haze. By midnight, the streets teemed with revelers, but an undercurrent of unease lingered in Brian's quiet moments, his recent loss weighing like an invisible fog. Around midnight, they linked up with Meredith Reed, a friend of Clint's in the short north. She drove them back to the Ugly Tuna, the car's headlights cutting through the dark as they laughed about the night's escapades. Arriving at 1:15 a.m., the trio ascended the escalator into the bar's crowded second-floor space, captured clearly on CCTV footage. The bar was a chaotic sea of bodies, sweaty patrons swaying to the rhythm, neon signs flickering overhead, and the sticky scent of spilled beer mingling with cigarette smoke from the outdoor patios. Brian, in his jeans and casual shirt, blended seamlessly into the throng, but investigators would later pore over these grainy images, searching for clues in the mundane. Inside, the group separated amid the crush of partiers. Brian wandered off, perhaps drawn by the live band's Jimmy Buffett-style tunes that resonated with his own musical dreams of starting a band. At 1:55 a.m., cameras outside the bar caught him chatting briefly with two young women, his smile fleeting under the harsh security lights. He turned, stepping off-frame toward the entrance, then nothing. The footage looped endlessly in police reviews. One moment he existed, the next he was gone, as if the building itself had claimed him. No sign of struggle, no frantic glances, just an abrupt void that chilled detectives to their core. As the bar closed at 2 a.m., Clint and Meredith searched frantically, calling Brian's name over the din of departing crowds. The escalators descended with streams of laughing students, but Brian wasn't among them. Assuming he'd slipped away to his apartment or hooked up with someone, they left, the cool night air carrying a whisper of something amiss. "Where the hell did he go?" Clint muttered to Meredith, his voice laced with irritation rather than worry, a detail that would later haunt investigations. The next morning, Alexis tried calling Brian, her phone pressed to her ear in growing concern. No answer. Randy Shaffer, sensing something wrong when Brian didn't respond to his messages, felt a knot of dread tighten in his stomach. By Monday, Brian had missed their flight to Miami, his seat empty on the plane. Alexis filed a missing person report, her voice trembling as she described his last known whereabouts. Police descended on the Ugly Tuna, the once vibrant bar now a sterile crime scene under fluorescent lights, its walls echoing with unspoken questions. Investigators reviewed every inch of CCTV from the bar and surrounding areas. The only public exit was the monitored escalator, yet Brian never reappeared on it. A service door near his last sighting led to a construction area, a labyrinth of scaffolding, exposed wires, and dim hallways that even sober navigation would challenge, let alone after a night of heavy drinking. He couldn't have just vanished, one detective whispered to another, the grainy screens flickering like ghosts in the dimly lit room. Nearby bars' cameras showed no trace, amplifying the impossibility. Searches fanned out across Columbus. Police dogs sniffed streets and dumpsters. Officers combed the sewers for any sign, and Brian's apartment, just 6 blocks away, stood untouched. His car parked outside, keys and wallet presumably with him. Flyers plastered the city, detailing his tattoo and eye fleck, but tips led nowhere. Randy, driven by paternal desperation, joined volunteers scouring the Olentangy River shores, guided by his psychic's vague vision of a body near a bridge pier. The water lapped ominously against the banks, wind whispering through trees, as if mocking their efforts. Months dragged on, hope flickering like a dying bulb. In September 2006, Alexis called Brian's phone one evening, and it rang 3 times instead of going straight to voicemail, a cruel tease that sparked renewed searches. A ping traced to a cell tower in Hilliard, 14 miles northwest, but it was dismissed as a glitch, leaving her staring at her phone in the quiet of her room, the silence heavier than before. What if he's out there trying to reach us? She confided to friends, her words hanging in the air like unspoken fears. Theories swirled in investigative circles, foul play, perhaps linked to the controversial smiley face killers theory, though Columbus police and the FBI rejected it. Or had Brian, burdened by his mother's death and the pressures of med school, orchestrated a voluntary disappearance? No evidence supported it, no financial irregularities, no secret plans. Sightings poured in from Michigan to Sweden, each a false dawn that deepened the family's torment. Suspicion fell on Clint Florence, who refused a polygraph test and later moved to Tennessee, changing his name to William, a move that raised eyebrows among detectives. Why won't he cooperate fully? Randy pressed investigators, his voice cracking with frustration during late-night calls. Clint's lawyer cited privacy, but the refusal cast long shadows over the friendship, fueling whispers of hidden knowledge in the bar's fateful night. Tragedy compounded in 2008 when Randy died in a freak windstorm, a falling branch claiming him as he searched for answers. At his funeral, a hoax note in the online condolence book read, "To Dad, love Brian, U.S. Virgin Islands," traced to a public computer in Franklin County. It was a sick joke that reopened wounds. Derek Shaffer, Brian's brother, staring at the screen in disbelief, the family's grief twisted into public spectacle. Years turned to decades, with tips still trickling in, 2 a month by 2014, evidence filling 4 boxes in police storage. Eddie Vedder even appealed at a Pearl Jam concert, but silence prevailed. The Ugly Tuna Saloona closed in 2020, its site now a hollow reminder, but the CCTV footage endures, a chilling loop replayed in documentaries and podcasts. Brian Shaffer stepped into the shadows that night, leaving loved ones trapped in a limbo of what-ifs, the bar a haunted monument to the impossible vanishing. As of 2025, the case remains unsolved, a spectral enigma in Columbus's bustling streets. Investigators occasionally revisit the files, the weight of unanswered questions pressing like an unseen presence. For Alexis and Derek, the void lingers, a psychological unease that no closure can fill, the fear that Brian is out there, or worse, that he was swallowed by something inexplicable within those walls. In the quiet suburb of Tumwater, Washington, where dense forests edged against the hum of Interstate 5, 19-year-old Logan Schiendelman navigated a life adrift. Mixed race with a black father and white mother, he had recently dropped out of Washington State University, trading lectures for odd jobs and introspection. Living with his grandmother Ginny in a modest home, Logan was known for his quiet sensitivity, but whispers of identity struggles lingered. Friends noted the town's unfriendliness towards someone like him, and he had confided in family about feeling out of place, even paranoid rants about the white man keeping us down. On May 19th, 2016, the air felt heavier than usual. Logan returned home jittery, his athletic 6-foot frame tense as if carrying an unseen burden. Over dinner, he confided in Ginny about a sudden epiphany, his voice trembling with urgency. "Grandma, I've realized something big. It's like everything's clear now," he said, eyes darting as if shadows lurked in the corners of the room. Ginny later recalled how his hands shook, how he seemed on the verge of unraveling, a storm brewing behind his calm facade. That same evening, Logan sent a cryptic text to a woman he'd met on a dating app. "I hope to survive this week." The message hung in the digital ether, unanswered and ominous, a faint echo of inner turmoil. His half-sister Chloe remembered his growing paranoia, how he'd mutter about unseen forces, his words laced with unease that made her skin crawl. As night fell, the woods outside whispered through the wind, as if beckoning him into the unknown. The next day, May 20th, dawned clear, but Logan's black 1996 Chrysler Sebring weaved erratically along Interstate 5 south of Olympia, near milepost 92. Witnesses in passing cars gripped their wheels, hearts pounding as the vehicle drifted across 3 lanes at a sluggish pace, tires scraping the asphalt like a reluctant sigh. One driver dialed 911, voice urgent. "There's a car swerving, it's going to crash." The Sebring lurched, slamming into the median barrier with a metallic crunch that echoed through the suburban wooded stretch. In the chaotic aftermath, reports flooded in, each more puzzling than the last. A witness described a tall white man, pale-skinned, not matching Logan's mixed-race features, bolting from the passenger side, leaping over the barrier and vanishing into the dense underbrush. "He just ran into the woods, like he was being chased by something," the caller said, breath-raking. Another account emerged later. A woman claimed to have seen Logan earlier, standing by his car with 2 unkempt Caucasian men, their presence casting an eerie shadow over the roadside. By midday, the Sebring sat abandoned, engine still warm, keys dangling in the ignition like a forgotten promise. Inside, Logan's wallet lay open on the seat, cards untouched. His phone buzzed faintly with missed calls, and his life-saving EpiPen for a severe peanut allergy rested in the glove compartment, as if he'd stepped away for a moment, intending to return. But Logan was gone, swallowed by the landscape where wetlands met forested prairies, a place where secrets could hide in ravines and thickets. Thurston County Sheriff's deputies arrived, their flashers cutting through the daylight haze. Ginny, alerted by a friend, filed a missing person report on May 23rd, her voice cracking as she described his last words. He was nervous, like he knew something bad was coming, she told investigators, tears tracing lines on her face. Chloe echoed the fear, recalling Logan's rants. He'd say things about people watching him. It scared me, like he was seeing ghosts in the daylight. Searches mobilized swiftly, K9 units plunging into the woods for 6 grueling hours. Tracking dogs sniffed Logan's scent from the car door, weaving through brambles and mud, but the trail evaporated abruptly at the tree line, as if he'd dissolved into mist. Cadaver dogs circled, noses to the ground, yet found no trace, no clothing, no blood, no body. The area, a mix of open prairies and tangled undergrowth, seemed to mock the effort, its silence broken only by distant traffic hum. As days blurred into weeks, theories swirled like fog over the interstate. Family and friends whispered of a possible psychotic break. Logan was at the age when schizophrenia could emerge, his epiphany a harbinger of delusion. He might have wandered off, disoriented, and perished in the wilderness, a detective suggested, voice heavy with resignation. But foul play loomed larger. The white man fleeing, the conflicting sightings of Logan with strangers. Had he picked up hitchhikers who turned violent? Chloe mentioned tensions with her boyfriend Jake, rumored drug involvement, but no evidence surfaced. Media descended, podcasts and news segments dissecting the case. A bizarre report trickled in, a naked teenager seen running wildly near the crash site on May 20th, adding layers of surreal dread. Ginny clung to hope, posting flyers that fluttered in the wind. Have you seen Logan? But his bank cards remained unused. No sightings emerged, and the woods held their breath. Years later, the empty Sebring haunts like a ghost vehicle on a Hoyos 5, a riddle etched in asphalt. Ginny still scans the horizon, wondering if Logan's epiphany led him to a desperate escape or a sinister trap. The interstate rushes on, indifferent, while the underbrush whispers secrets of what might lie hidden, bones in a ravine or a soul lost to the shadows. In Tumwater, the absence echoes, a chilling reminder that some vanishings defy explanation, leaving only unease in their wake. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.